Welcome to Prairways for January 2016. My name's Dan Bryant, and this month I caught up with Kester Putman to talk about the GBM Literature Ministry. Unfortunately, Kester's voice is a bit worse for wear, so we apologise for any huskiness. Kester, why don't you start by telling us what GBM Literature does?
Thank you for giving me the opportunity to explain this. Simply put, GBM Lit exists to help put good books into the hands of English-speaking pastors and Bible teachers around the world. Why do we do that? Well, outside of the UK and the United States, thousands and thousands of pastors will have begun their church work with perhaps only a Bible and a hymn book. They simply won't have had grown up with access to the rich heritage of Christian literature that many of us did while we're here in the UK. Now, sometimes that's because of educational opportunities being limited. Sometimes that's because finance has been limited. And sometimes it's because of limited geographical access to good Christian bookshops and libraries. So it's a great privilege to hear these pastors and Bible teachers expressing thankfulness for what we've been able to provide them with.
So you mentioned that you correspond with numerous people around the world. What exactly does that involve?
Well, these days, the vast majority of the pastors and Bible teachers I hear from are communicating by email. Often I get really fulsome, loudly enthusiastic notes of appreciation. One example I do recall is from Ethiopia, and I've got this in front of me. There's no boundary for my joy when I've gotten booklets from you. Thank you very much for your mailing booklets and encouraging me. What great things the Lord has done for my service. Indeed, I'm so glad to get the materials you sent. It is a holy and big privilege to become partners with the Divine Lord by distributing Christ-centered literature. On other occasions, I receive emails from people that are explaining the needs that they have, that they're trying to meet, and inviting us to contribute to what they are doing for the Lord. Here's an example from Kenya. Dear Kester, thank you for taking over from Brother Machek. He's been supporting our Bible school with literature, and it's our help that you will do so too, as we join hands to reach out to the regions beyond. I'm writing this letter just to acquaint you with this ministry in order for you to support its work and vision. Our small ministry was founded 5 years ago in Kenya, offering free Bible teachings specifically to church leaders and Christian Muslim converts. Through God's help, the ministry has so far trained over 500 people through our Bible correspondence course, with over 200 church leaders graduating with a certificate since 2010. Well, I think it's a great privilege to us to be supporting people like this as they aim to reach out and support the education of others with good Christian literature.
How do you go about building up your list of contacts?
Well, that's a good question. The truth is that the Lit ministry of GBM today has grown out of the work of others. I would say specifically from the last 30 years or so of literature coordinators for GBM. But over the last few years, some pastors from other countries will simply have come across our books in the hands of their friends. And as a direct result, they've then got in touch with us to find out more. An additional way of raising the profile of GBM Lit has been through me making visits overseas. For example, back in September 2015, I paid a visit to Johannesburg, South Africa. I'd been invited to a conference run by Africans, for Africans, and its aim was to help the pastors there to counter the advance of the so-called prosperity gospel. Whilst in South Africa, I managed to meet a good variety of people who could benefit from our literature. I was having conversations with pastors who serve the Lord in very poor townships on the outskirts of the cities. And I was talking with small Bible colleges who would benefit from our resources for their students.
Now, you must be communicating with people from many different cultures, and they obviously all don't speak English.
No.
So how easy is it to find quality resources in other languages?
Yes, you're right to mention this sort of thing. Historically, GBM Lit has waited for local people in their own countries to request the opportunity from us to translate GBM's printed materials into their own languages, and they will do that at their own pace. What we're exploring right now with GBM Mission Council is the opportunity for us to take the initiative and begin the process of serving those people with materials in their own indigenous languages. I need to stress that these are early days in this particular endeavour, so we're keen to ask for prayer that the Lord will make it clear how we should proceed.
Now, obviously, any ministry has a finite amount of resources in both time and money. So how do you seek to steward those things wisely?
It is good to highlight this. There will always be a need for GBM Lit to be wise with time and money. When it comes to the books themselves, well, if they've not been written by GBM staff, then we will get substantially discounted prices from trusted evangelical publishers. And that's primarily because we're sending these books to pastors in other countries. And the dispatch of the books? Well, we decided to reorganise the finances of GBM Lit. We found it was possible to engage a local company who've got a warehouse, and they then employ people to do the picking and packing of items for us, alongside the work they do for lots of their other commercial clients.
For up-to-date information about the work of GBM Literature, you can find them on Twitter and on Facebook. Praise God that He uses the sent resources to encourage and bless the recipients. Pray for wisdom for Kester in selecting future titles to distribute. Pray for God's leading in any future translation work. Thank you for your prayers.